What's going on?
All right. Thank you, Scott. Hey, Andy, what's going on?
Hey, Steve. Nothing much. Hi, Scott. Hi, everybody.
Yes, hello, everybody. All right, we'll get started here in a minute. Just go through a couple of slides first. Welcome to the trade of the week. Just a reminder, we, myself and Andy, are a couple of employees, but also traders of our own account. And anything you see or hear us talk about is not to be construed as advice, which is our opinions. So good to go on that. Just a reminder that well, for one, the test drive's coming up. That's a tremendous opportunity to try the product for $9 in a full 2 weeks. And the reason I say the full 2 weeks is because it really is a 2-week learning curve for the most part, trying to figure out how to make trade ideas talk to you, whether you're a swing trader or on the other side of the coin, a scalper who's looking for real-time quickness. We can help you do that with trade ideas, but it doesn't come overnight, and we're here to help you in any way you can, any way we can. The best way is to pull up a chair to Barry's live trading room every day. It's free and lots of good info there, and we also help him on the noon hour at the East Coast time. We fill in and take questions from everybody. So every 24 hours, you can reset the button and come in and ask questions and get more information the next day. And the next day, we're here for you. So we want to help. We want to help shorten your learning curve. So these are the ways in which we can do it. And then there is the tradeideas.com/live. That URL will redirect you directly into our live stream that I just spoke of. So set that as a reminder and come on by and let us help you out. All right, just a reminder, man and machine combined, Trade Ideas is a great tool to help, but it doesn't work by itself. The human being really is a much better way to approach it. Andy can talk about that when it comes to the AI, but human and machine really are a great symbiotic tool, and Trade Ideas is a great way to take advantage of that. All right, April 13th, we'll go over the market recap here. Andy's got some thoughts on the AI. Decent day finally over there. Trade of the week isn't working, but it's still in play. We have some good management thoughts on that. Build a basing type scan, and I'm going to look at a sector as well. And let's bring up Trade Ideas so we can see that. There we go. All right, so let's get into market recap and what I'm observing here. Kind of what I said yesterday in Jamie's recording. We've come a long way from that nice 50-day moving average pop. And I'm not really long a bunch of stuff up here. I'm mostly in cash, and I did take one trade today, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I tell you, you can't stop this market, but I'm just not one to want to come in and just take on a bunch of brand new positions after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 green days in a row. I mentioned yesterday, that's a juicy gap. I've got these kind of days just fresh in my memory that just kind of seem to come without warning. And so I'm just kind of waiting to see, and waiting for the perfect pitch, waiting to see what comes. And the point is, I'm not leveraged. I'm not long across the board, mostly in cash and a couple of trades, which again, we'll talk about, because I just feel like, the market needs a little either consolidation or a little pullback or a little something, because it's reaching out there on the edge of those branches, and just kind of waiting for that reset day. Now in the Nasdaq, same kind of a story. We actually, hey, look at that. We actually closed above prior high. That's amazing. It's just, you cannot stop this. And we have some thoughts on that, but I ideally would kind of like to see something like a cup and handle, because all those days expending a lot of energy from down here up to go and close through that line, that's pretty impressive. Very low volume, however, but again, I just feel like a reset is due at some point, and that might start to create some more opportunities. I was noticing yesterday with Jamie in the IWM that we're just also really painting ourselves into a very defined corner here. And it tried to get away from us this morning, but popped right back into play on kind of a stick save. Keep your eye on what the Russell 2000 and the small caps want to do. Odds would favor the continued motion of that trend. It just seems the rotation just doesn't find any ending. It's never ending rotation out there. So there's that. No bear case to be made. We're just in high thin air up here, whether you're in the Nasdaq or in the S&P 500. Be very selective. Now, what I will say again, it's becoming kind of a broken record. This market is befuddling a lot of people. I even referenced a tweet yesterday that Brian Lund made in his observations. He talks to a lot of traders, and he had some cloud words that were popular: frustrating, exhausting, were some of the words that it's been lately for longer term managers and swing traders as of late, because it just seems like what was working in October, November, December, a lot of the small caps, they're not working at all. Even a lot of the mid caps, they're not working at all. And I actually kind of grabbed a graphic to illustrate, what we've been talking about, saying, hey, look, the market's up another 1.5%, 2% today. Why is my stuff down 3%? Well, this was stolen off of, I think, JC Paredes' Twitter feed, but guys were talking about it over here today. Here's our S&P, the weighted index. It's almost magical the way this thing just gravitates, because under the surface, equal weight and high beta stocks and Russell 2000 stocks, they're not doing that well. So it's just really the stocks like Tesla and Apple and Netflix and Google and Amazon that are holding up a lot of these things. And when we get to the trade of the week, I did mention that about 4 or 5 months ago, some of you said, hey, Steve, it'd be really nice if we could have trade of the weeks that focused under $25. And that really worked well. That was a lot of fun. But let's be honest, for the last couple months, it's been really hard. It's been pulling teeth trying to get stocks under $25 to have those types of runs that we've had before. So, there's one thing that you got to kind of scratch your head and say, all right, do I want to keep, fishing in that well? Do I want to do what this data is telling us here? Just begrudgingly buy Google, begrudgingly buy Amazon and Apple, and just try and squeak out a 1 or 2% in those respects. Maybe that's what it takes, but the data is showing us that under the surface, there's not a lot of stuff working. And just kind of an early primer, Andy was saying this morning, speaking of the stocks that were darlings back here in November, December, January, like Plug Power, it's just fallen back to earth. It was once up here almost $80, and now it's touching its 200-day moving average. And Andy can elaborate, but he took a position here just saying, you know what, I'm going to start trying to buy some things that are beaten up and have areas of interest. That's what we'll call this 200-day moving average. It's just an area of interest to watch the price behavior and see how it behaves. And so, and a little later in the webinar, we're going to create some scans to try and look for things like this and then observe them and see how they behave. But yeah, great example of how some of the great ones have just been kind of fallen. And then another little primer, I'm going to go right into a sector here. I'm going to go right into GDX or even GDXJ. Let's go to GDX. This is starting to look interesting. We'll take a look at a deeper dive going forward, but I might just start talking about one particular sector now in these market wrap-ups, and a sector to keep an eye on tomorrow, I believe, based on the footprints in the sand here. Really nice consolidation right there, just waiting for the moving averages to catch up. I like the way the gold miners look. So we're going to take a look at a few individual names a little later in the session. But for now, the S&P is overextended. One last thought, Michael here was talking about some Bollinger Bands that all of a sudden he's been working with. And Bollinger Bands told him today the market might have put in a little short-term top, and that's kind of consistent with what I'm seeing we need and maybe what we're going to get. So bottom line of what I'm saying here today is don't be putting on a lot of heavy new positions today. Let's wait and see what happens and see if some things set up a little better. Did you have any thoughts, Andy?
No, I agree with you. Everything you said, Steve. It is overextended, and you and I, as longtime traders, we know better. I mean, I think a lot of people know better if you've been trading for any length of time at all. You never want to chase a stock or a market. Be patient. Let them come back to you. They will. It doesn't seem like they will at this point, but they will. They'll eventually come back. There's nothing worse than loading the boat up and chasing and then getting your 3 to 5% pullback in the market and a lot of pain that comes with it. So I agree. I totally agree. And it is difficult right now because most traders, especially the swing variety, I'm not talking about investors now, I'm talking about active traders. You want to try to find things that move, and that's why we do play a lot of Russell 2000 stocks and, stocks that you can buy and get a, nice 15 to 20% move. Yeah, well, sometimes you just got to adjust your game. I actually bought Twitter today. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna fight anything. And once it broke above that, you can see that high there, the kind of, yep, right there, yep. So I bought it at 71, I believe. But so let's see what happens. Hopefully this thing just kind of meanders. Now if it falls back in that range, below 70, I'll probably get out quick. It's going to be one of those kind of things where, I'm not chasing the stock, but I'm definitely still taking a position with the market, after it's extended like this. So I will get out quick if it fails. But if you can't beat them, join them sometimes,
Yeah.
So.
Jeff says 420 by tomorrow. I got a wrinkle. How about, Jeff, we get 420 on 420? So maybe we do a little consolidation, then we hit 420 on the magic 420 date coming up next week. All right, that's all I've got over here.
That's
If you
me
want to
too.
talk about
Me too.
AI,
All right.
want to talk about AI over there,
Yeah,
Andy?
yeah. Boy, I'm looking forward to talking about AI today.
Finally.
Yes, finally. Yeah, Tuesdays have not been the greatest of days. I don't know why, but today, boy, it really made up for some of itself today for sure. Uh, and what you're looking at now on my screen is the AI, and what we're going to take a look at is this over here in the channel bar. Okay, these numbers, no trades today in the Holly 2.0, but you did have trades in Neo and Holly Grail, and only 8 trades a day, and still some very impressive numbers. I always like seeing that. Uh, Now you're going to see some different numbers over here in my window, and because my window is based on different share size. Okay, it's based upon 200. It's based on risk of losing $200 per trade. So in other words, it buys the number of shares that if it does go to the stop price, the max I will lose is $200. Okay, so it automatically goes out and calculates the number of shares for that, which is a neat little feature that we have here at Trade Ideas. I don't have time really to go in and show you how all it works, but it's done in the tools. Under tools, you'll find a little AI size. Let me just show you since I've gone this far with it. Sorry about that, Steve. But if you go into tools, you're going to see in options something called AI trade size right here. And what that allow you to do is set your parameter based upon dollars, shares, or what I have here, risk based on stop loss, which is $200, what I just explained. So it's a nice little tool that you can use, and it'll automatically calculate the number of shares to buy. But let's go over the trades real quick, because there was a good one, especially one really good one, and I'm going to talk about it first. And if you were watching Holly today, I'm going to give you every reason in the world why you should have bought this. And if you would have we're looking at Holly when the alert went off. Even if you missed it by a few minutes, you would have seen some very nice volume, relative volume. I can't remember if it was exactly that high at the time, but I remember looking at it and it was up there. It was up there close to 5 if it wasn't over at the time. And you can actually see the volume bars this morning, a couple of real good ones right there. And so you got the signal right there from this is 45 minutes after the market opened, from a strategy called Tailwind. And if you were looking at the daily, you could see a nice little critical level right there where it kept bumping up against about 5 times and could not get through. Then you got the signal. So even if you didn't buy the signal and waited for it to clear, this high right here, it still would have been a great trade. But the volume was there, the chart pattern was there. In other words, a lot of stars were lining up for this one, and and it actually got through this level over here. So really, really impressive call there from the AI. I always love that when I see those charts that are really setting up nicely on the daily, and that's what we had. But that wasn't all. And real quickly, I'm going to go over the next few here. This Riley, R-I-L-Y, and that was a beautiful little breakout. Now this was a gap up, but what I like about it is what's called a pullback long. In other words, I don't really care for these ones like this one down here, this Schwabi that fired 5 minutes after the bell. I'm not one to chase stocks in the first 5 minutes, and you can see if I pull that one up, it didn't work. Look at that. You're buying a tippy top there. Michael claims that these perform on average. They're profitable, but for me personally, I don't like to chase in the first 5. And I know Steve's the same way. But this is a little bit different here. This Riley still had your gap up. Okay, you still had your big gap up there, but if you looked, right where this corresponds at the buy signal, it's right there close to all-time highs, and it had traded for 45 minutes, and you got your signal right before it did a range breakout. In other words, broke out that morning range. So a beautiful call right there. Even if you scalped it after the first 45 minutes to an hour, it would have been a great trade. It did hit the target. Well, I'm seeing target up here, but I don't see target hit on any of these. I'm not sure. Oh, this is the, never mind. This is the reason they got out for conservative mode. We're not going to talk about that. By the way, moderate profit outperforms conservative profit by a wide margin. Okay, it just goes
Which is
to
what I
show.
say on that intro slide, human and machine working together.
That's right. That's right. Steve's right. Machine is dishing out you the idea, and you are managing that idea. All right, the next one. And these all came out around the same time, within about a 6-minute spread of each other. Soup N was another one, very similar range breakout. Now, it wasn't anywhere near like a multi-month high, but still a nice breakout right here. And that's where the call was, right before it took out basically a month high. And once again, the volume was enough to, definitely should get your eye. But here's a great example of not getting caught up in the moment and taking your profits too quick and letting it work out and work for you. And this one ran pretty much all day. And one more to go over, and that would be Fate, which, you know what? This one I wouldn't see. This is where I say, okay, this one turned out okay. This one turned out good. Profit was there. But for me, if I'm looking at this and I'm looking at this daily over here, okay, I probably don't take this trade. This is where man and machine, getting back to man and machine, I like to look at stocks on the daily, and buying this pullback right here is just a little bit dangerous for me looking at this daily. Now, statistically, it worked out, and from a strategy called own support. So this was kind of an own support play, but I could see where somebody might pass on something like that, but it did work out. Swabi, we talked about that one. JKS never really did anything, pretty much a scratch, made a little bit. This one, I just it's a short that failed, and KR was also a long that really never could get anything going. So, but anyway, 4 really good trades there. One particularly in iHeart. Great day for Holly, and hopefully some of you may have participated in at least that iHeart today. That was a good one. And unless you have something to say about it, Steve, I'll shoot it back to you.
Nope. Well, I do have something to say,
Okay.
but it's better that you see my screen.
Okay.
So here's the email that went out. We'll talk about the trade of the week in a moment, but a couple things you guys have told me. As I said earlier, you told me you like to see stocks under 25, so we've been working on that. You also told me you like to see those also ran, those second picks. Well, look who had iHeart on their second ran pick, which was given to you guys also before the AI even saw it. Yeah, that's right. I liked it, and it was on the short list to keep an eye on. So just didn't want to let that go fall into the wayside before we talk about TGB, because iHeart did have that that sweet look, and so did TGB, trade of the week. And again, preface this by saying we normally don't trade stocks under $5, but I couldn't find a whole lot of other things out there that made good sense. I suppose iHeart could have been a good one, but remember we talked about oh, actually no, that could have been a good one. It is under $25. Yeah. Nonetheless. All right, so one of the main factors of TGB coming into this was my observation of how much it really did seem to rely on this 50-day moving average. And so in the back end of the trade and the risk management portion of the trade, the stop area is to not let the closing candle. I know that's hard sometimes when the market's turned on, but generally we can tell how the market, how the stock would like to close if we can get through half the day. and if it tests that area and starts to bounce off. For the most part, I felt like today at 170 here kind of was the test of that area. Now, it's unfortunate that it had to come down and find the backstop like that. Again, I'll call it the backstop. But first triggering our trade right up here on the open there, that you know,
I always
I
hate
hate it.
that. Yeah.
I hate it when that happens, but
Hmm.
it did. But you know, okay, so we've defined our entry and we've defined our loss area. Again, 5 or 6 taps on that 170 level today. It looks like it's going to try and hold tomorrow. Now, ideally, I don't want to see anything remotely clear to this blue line tomorrow. I want to see just a nice push off of it like it has done in the past. But if it doesn't, then that's what we're doing here. We're looking in the past and saying this thing has had a penchant to really respect that blue line. And if we get a close below that blue line, that's probably the beginning of a multi-day sell-off, and we don't want any part of that. And that's really one of the simplest rules I'm using as a swing trader. I try to evaluate all my trades at the end of the day, whether it's entering a trade or whether it is exiting the trade and saying, you know what, that candle is clearly closing on lows below my defined moving averages. I'm going to use this last 5 minutes in the day to exit my swing trade. I do that all the time, and it saves me a lot of money the next day. Likewise, I got into, as I said, there's just not much that gets me excited right now, but I saw something today, and it came up during the lunchtime session. We were talking about, somebody asked about some blockchains, and so we started looking at blockchain stocks, which, by the way, just for the sake of it, another name that was on this also watch list was Mara, which is also a blockchain stock that was holding up pretty well. But I took a look at Riot, and Riot looks eerily familiar to what TGB has been kind of doing lately, respecting that 50-day moving average. But here's what I really like about it. When the chart can confirm a story, that's the best of all. Because if you're just into the story and the chart looks like crap, you're basically a hoper. All right. I prefer to be into the chart and be playing the chart only, but sometimes when you know what the crowd is thinking a little bit, it kind of helps knowing what's fueling a possible move. So I saw something midday and I got in towards the end of the day. You can see the buy tag there, mirroring the trade. And this is literally what I'm seeing. I'm just, you know, nothing more than the crude drawing of that, and then using the 50 as our bottom. That's not going to work. I'm going to have to do a better job than that. Using the 50-day moving average, that's a very well-defined price channel. Look at the volume today and yesterday. Mainly today, we have the, what did I say, the close above the wedge. So I'm taking a chance today that maybe I'll be lucky and get a gap and go in the AM. I hope so, but this is the kind of stuff that I just can't pass up at the moment. So I did take a look at that one. And the story behind it, not to get away from that, is, as I understand it, Coinbase is going to be rolling out an IPO on Wednesday. So there's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of discussion out there about crypto and the blockchain and things like that. So maybe just maybe, what I'm seeing here is a lovely chart coming to life, breaking and closing above a wedge with double the volume. The thing closed on over 2.0 relative volume, very strong. So just a good example of liking to
Steve,
enter trades. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, Ted, have you drawn a trend line from that top over there? Maybe it's about to break out of that the high going back to, yeah, there you go.
Oh, I thought I did. I mean, you mean
Oh,
like
there you go.
that? For the
Yeah,
most
pretty
part, I
much.
did. Yeah,
Okay,
I
okay.
had
I'm
it for a
sorry. I'm
second
sorry.
ago.
I had to step away for a
Yeah,
minute.
I
There you go.
understand.
There you go. Yeah.
But I had the wedge in here, and so I'm indicating that's a very definitive close
Hmm.
above the wedge. Somebody's trying to sneak away without anybody hopefully noticing, but boy, that's impressive there with that kind of volume too. So that caught my eye, and that actually, you know, got me to, you know, roll the dice. But I'm still, guys, I'm still on like 80% cash. I'm trying to figure out, you know, what's going to work. So back to the TGB, all we're going to do is monitor tomorrow and make sure this thing stays well above that 50-day moving average. If the market looks like crap. Oh, also remember I mentioned earlier, and we'll get to this in a second, you know, the gold miners as a sector look like they're trying to do what I was talking about last week, that changing of the lanes and all of a sudden consolidating back above their moving averages. So TGB is a mining stock, albeit copper and nickel and some other stuff, but you know, who knows? Maybe if the gold miners have a good day, maybe that'll help our TGB. But for the most part, the focus of our trade of the week, we just don't want to see this thing get below or close, especially close below. Um, if it is going to test it, it always does it in the AM. It might test it, go down to 167, 68, then pop back up right in the open. If that's going to do it, that's when I prefer it does it right on the open to try and shake the weekends out, because we're going to go for a closing price. All right, so again, that's the theme. I wait for that last 5 minutes of the day to dictate, a lot of my swing trades. So what I wanted to do now was, again, go and kind of show another feature of Trade Ideas real quick. I've already put it together, and Andy kind of gave me the idea this morning. He said, when he brought up plug power, I thought, okay, well, maybe it is time to start looking for setups that might look like plug power. And so what are the definitive characteristics of a chart like this? Well, it's definitely down recently. It's down probably in the last 10 days, and maybe it would be nice to see at the 200-day moving average. And it doesn't really take much to do that. If we just want to see a list of those ideas in 30-second increment refreshes, we can do that. And so let's first look under the hood so we always know what we're scanning for. And again, these are just filters. All right, they got to be down. They got to be negative on the day, because I want to see the day that they're probably reaching down and touching that 200-day. And there's our 200-day filter. And we're basically saying, just show me things that are no more than 0.5% below and 0.5% above their 200-day moving average after, not very, after a couple down days. So let's just go in there and take a look at these. That one's actually kind of odd. Oh, so is that. How'd that get in there? You know what? I think I missed a filter. Hang on one second. I think we wanted these to be down at least in the last 5 days. Oops. Position in 10-day range. It's not going to do it either. Change. There we go. Change in 10 days. I'd like these to be down at least, 5% in 10 days. Let's see if there's anything. Oh, there's only one thing in there, and it was that one. So this was kind of the stuff I was looking for. But what I did earlier was I took, check this out. I took the collaborative and created an alert window. Oh no, now it locked up on me. I was able to back into finding that that plug, collaborate, paste. I'm just sharing the filter settings with a with an alert window, then creating a new low. Alert. I think I wanted to not have one filter in there. I think that needed to be out. And when we did this in an alert fashion, it gave us everything that kind of came through today. So Campbell's soup bouncing off its 200-day, bouncing off its 200-day there, making lows into it. But at one point, I know I had plug on here.
Probably close to the open, I would think.
It was. And I don't know what happened.
Huh. Let me see the filters again. Make the.
I'm gonna try something different. Maybe it was a new high.
Could expand that range a little bit. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Maybe go to like just one.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
We're literally just kind of spitballing here, using the product to try and again show us ideas in real time, or in history in this case. That moment of time where things were coming in and making new lows into their. I know I saw it in there earlier.
It never fails, man.
Never fails, live TV.
I'm telling you, it happens to me too.
But the point was, I'm not really trying to give away a great, scan, because we don't really have a great scan to give away. We've just got to kind of work our way through. There it is.
I see it. There you go. It was just a short time.
Yeah. So, you can use scans like this to try and show you things that are at or right on the 200-day moving average. And then you could just say, okay, well, market's closed today, but here I'll right click and create a price alert tomorrow. And you can give yourself a couple of ideas going into tomorrow of things that might kick off and trigger, and you'd say, hey, you know, in hindsight, that might be a good bounce off that 200-day. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch. You can use the history and go at the end of the day when you do your homework and your scans and just find a couple that look interesting off of something like that. Yeah, consecutive candles, Jeff, I thought about that too. That's probably a good point. You know, we could add consecutive candles right here. If we wanted to see more down candles into today, we'd probably lose plug, but you'd see some others that would have a lot more cascading to them. Consecutive candles days, and I'll just show you the little trick. When you want to see negative, if I wanted to see 3 down days coming into today, I would do a -3 there in that column. It would change the complexity of it. But dare, there you go, look at that dare. Now 4 or 5 red candles, boom, right into that moving average 200-day. So that's probably an interesting point to share with people if you'd like it. And then, like I said, you can start setting bar reversals off of today's high on things that look interesting to you. And then you're creating in real time a price alert, which is in effect an alert, a real-time alert. So I will pop that in there.
And also, guys, when you do, anytime I take a position like that, I never buy more than a half a position. A lot, and sometimes it's
Yeah,
only a
a nibble.
third of a position. Yeah, yeah.
You're
I
dipping
mean,
your toe in the water.
yes, if you're right, and that 200 holds, okay, there's going to be a huge percentage move. More than likely, it may be over time, but you know, if you are kind of picking the bottom like that, and once again, I always say that you have to have a reason for bottom fishing, and this reason is it's the 200-day moving average. And if you're wrong, you're only, you know, like I said, you're only going to have a third of a position, a half position. You just get out. You know, you don't. In other words, if it breaks that 200-day tomorrow, I may give it a little wiggle and jiggle. But if after 4 hours of trading, but still below it and heading down, no, it's gone. I'm not going to sit here and play guessing game. But if you're right, yeah, you can definitely be right big time.
All right, yeah, Jim, I did share that scan in the chat window. It's in the chat window there on the GoTo webinar toolbar. So you can have that available if you want it, just kind of a work in progress. What I was gonna do next is, again, as I mentioned, the gold miner GDX index looked very interesting coming into tomorrow. I just like the way that looks. So another feature I wanna remind people of here in our single stock window, let's just take Newmont. Newmont's kind of the gold standard, so to speak, play on words of the gold. So I'll take Newmont, plug that in there, and then we come over here to our single stock window, and we can go to similar, and we can even sort by price if we want to, and start looking at, let's look at the expensive ones first, why not? All right, and we can just go down the list here and see what are some of the stocks that might look good underneath that GDX, the components. Well, right off the bat, I can tell you I don't like this AEM. It's still trapped under its 50-day moving average, so I'm probably going to pass that. This thing's crazy. I've never seen that before. I'm not quite. It's a pink sheet, huh? I'm going to stay away from that. It just looks nasty. All right, well, this is starting to look a little bit more like the GDX. Gold has busted, GOLD it is. It's a stock, Barrick Gold Corporation, has broken above its 50 and it's kind of sliding sideways. So maybe this would be something like you come in here tomorrow and create a price alert for an idea in real time. It's also a pivot coming off of that low back there. Interesting. So again, we're just looking for similar ideas. Let's see, what is this? Is that giving us enough volume? That's not a bad looking chart. Never heard of that one. There's not as many as I thought there would be. Okay, this doesn't look bad. AGI, Alamos Gold, never really heard of them, but nice sideways action. It could follow through tomorrow. But again, the point being is here, we're just trying to work backwards and see what is it about. Oh, this one looks really interesting. Never even heard of this one, but that's a nice looking chart right there. Don't know how much volume it does normally. But anyway, just to remind you guys that that feature is there, the similar tab. Let me just see, was there any that we haven't thought of? What's another gold name, Andy?
Oh, let's see.
AUY? Yeah, AUY, okay, Yamana Gold, that doesn't look bad. Resting on those moving averages there, but again, coming back to the similar tab to see if there's anything different in here that we could have missed. Looks like they're all pretty much the same. Harmony. Yeah, there's that goofy looking, a lot of foreign. So interesting names I've never seen before, but that's kind of the power of the similar tab if you want to come in here and find names that look interesting to you based on, one major one. SSRM, a miner
What's
that looks
Ego
kind of,
doing? That's it.
let's
Is
take
that
a
in
look.
there?
SSRM looks kind of like those other ones, Jeff. It doesn't look bad at all. So SSRM would be when you'd come and definitely maybe even give it a little bit of a head start right there. Put that in as a price alert tomorrow, and early strength in the gold miners could last all day. You never know, but you put a price alert in there, and then you said, "Is that still a stock?" Yeah, look at that. It is Eldorado Gold, but it's kind of tied up. It doesn't look as strong as the other ones. Tell you what, you just buy GDX. It looks like
There
GDX
you
on its own wants to go, and then if you a little bit more bang for your buck, you can buy the GDXJ. Those are the junior miners that have a bit more of those other ones in there. But anyway, all right, yeah, Newmont probably looks the gold standard there. Well, I'm going to go through the sectors real quick. I haven't really seen a whole lot, but while I do this, if you guys want to put any chart symbols in there, we can look at 8 or 10 charts before Scott comes back. And again, things don't seem to hold this market up very long before they pass the baton. But today, gold miners and silver were near the top, if not the top. There was our best looking sector. As I went through, I didn't really see a whole lot more. Oil, boy, it's really, oil's getting interesting. I don't know how it's going to resolve, but it's getting very interesting. You can see that
go.
50-day moving average is certainly, everybody sees it. And when everybody sees it, it becomes a level of interest. We've seen the Nasdaq. Solar is just kind of depleting. We've seen the technology. Although I say the semiconductors I saw, they're going to be coming up. They don't look too bad. Treasuries just kind of stuck down there, flat. For the life of me, I can't figure out why commercial real estate continues to go up. Big bounce in the airlines today off that 50. There could be a little bit of follow through bounce tomorrow on some of your favorite airline stocks. There it is. There's the semis. They're doing that sideways shuffle thing that I like. Big push off lows, sideways shuffle. Keep an eye on the semis tomorrow. You could even probably say, I don't want to miss out if the semis break above that level. And that's really all I saw, to be honest with you, was semis and airlines. Everything else is kind of a wedge or a downtrend. All right, guys, we'll take a look at. All right, we got some charts to look at, and we'll bring Scott in here in a couple of minutes. That's all I really got for you today. I can talk about that real quick. How do you create a list? John says a symbol list would be the best way to just go tools, symbol list. Okay. Create a new list, give that list a name, and then you just start typing away. These ETFs that you saw in this window I was typing, this is where they are derived from. All right. And then if you have the column in there that allows you to see the description, it tells you what type of ETFs they are. So any of our scans, once you've created that list, you can point that scan or that top list towards it. You just go when you find it, and then I selected ETF. So this is only showing me that list. So again, you just start from tools, options, and then, tools and symbol list, and create your list from there. All right, first one is for George, for Snap. We got that one. Snap is starting to do, what I like. It's pushed off its lows and it's not giving much back. It might be a couple days away from just a bit more sideways consolidation before this 10-day moving average comes up to touch it, but it's looking not bad on that one, George. Yeah, Nvidia. So very strong after the last couple of days. Didn't even wait. Look at those two volume bars. I wouldn't establish a position here. It would have been much more interesting if you were kind of stalking it back here, which is what some of these things that we've been talking about and I've been doing. They broke above their 50-day and they're just kind of shuffling sideways, looking for an excuse to go higher. So Nvidia looks really good. SI probably wants to give back a couple of days, just like a real sawtooth pattern. If that's the one you wanted to look at, yeah, XLF is going to look the same pretty much. Just grinding higher. Now, higher interest rates, if these TLTs and IEF they fail next week and roll back over, you know, the interest rates could start to be discussed again, mortgage rates and things like that. Somebody sold their Sun W, but I heard people talking about. Okay, well, sold my Sun W today, says George. Yeah, there's not much
One of
going
those
on
is
there.
not working. Yeah, just one of
It's not
those.
working. You
Not
just
working.
got to
Yeah.
rip. You got to just rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah, RF, the trade of the week last week was looking really good, and then today it just gave some back and right on the open for.
Yep.
I have no idea why. But these things, this again, it's a great example there of how these things are just literally 2 steps forward, 1.5 step back, and it's just kind of messy out there. It's very hard to get the movement that we were accustomed to getting late in the summer and in the fall that we want to get, and it's just it's a muddy mud field out there. The trade of the week from last week, it's still in play. It's, you know, again, the 50-day moving average is going to be the downside in that one, just like TGB is this week, but nothing seems to want to follow through. It peeks its head up and then retreats. It's just the way it is. All right, any more? Oh, STKL. STKL. Farm products, raw material. Do I have the right one? Yeah, STKL. Not bad. Not bad, Jeff. Holding in there above its moving averages. I hate how these things get ahead of themselves and then pull all the way back with these giant wicks, but it's just the personality of that stock, I guess. STM and QRV. STM looks pretty nice. Look at how it's holding that sideways action, and the 50-day is flat and holding it. Looks like a bird that might want to take flight, and this is semiconductor. So definitely keep an eye on this one. Who's ever talking, you could come in here and just maybe give yourself a little head start with a price alert, something like that for tomorrow. QRVO, we'll do this one, and then CRWD, and then we'll bring Scott in. We'll finish with Chris. This one looks nice as well, another semiconductor. So you see how they're all kind of having that nice look. Pay attention to me. That's a really nice look right there. You know, that's also worthy of saying, you know, it takes out that high today. It might be some follow through. 3 days bouncing off that trampoline of the 10-day moving average. Not bad. And again, the theme, as we said earlier, we noticed the semiconductors moving sideways. They're looking for a reason to probably make a leg higher. All right, last one for Chris, then we'll bring in Scott. CRWD, CrowdStrike. Well, so it regained its 50-day moving average for the first time in a while today, and convincingly so. So the last thing you'd want to see is it trade up and then give it all the way back on the close. But it gave it back, it reclaimed it, planted its flag like it's on the moon decisively, and hopefully you just continue to build on that going forward. We saw a lot of charts. It's just kind of been moving sideways on that moving average, waiting for this guy to come up underneath. So, you know, you're back on the right side of the lifeboat, I would say, on that one. Chris, all right, we got to do Playboy. Yeah, somebody talked about Playboy earlier. You know, Playboy was interesting there. That was a nice looking pullback, getting ready to consolidate, but then the starting gun went off and it was really hard to chase unless you were looking for it. So that's about all we got today. So let's go ahead and bring in Scott in our last slide, and you know, thanks for your attention.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Couple items on the way out. Grab the new ebook. It's got our own Dave Mabe, who's our Director of Software Development and Chief Information Officer. It's got his favorite strategy indicators, and it's free. Go to trade-ideas.com/strategy. He's actually the creator of Holly the AI and the Odds Maker, so I think you can take his advice. We've also got a podcast. We have a new podcast episode out. So search for Trade Ideas Podcast wherever you listen to your pods. Grab that new episode. It's got an interview with one of our managing partners, David Aperia, and talking about how you can use artificial intelligence to help your strategy development. There's also a code opportunity, good for 15% off your first month or year of any subscription or upgrade. Grab that. And you can email us info@trade-ideas.com with any of your questions. That's the best place to send all your questions because it gets routed into our help desk software so it doesn't get lost. You can find Steve on Twitter @TISteveG. You can also find us at Trade Ideas and at QuantBot. There's some other handles out there you can locate. Facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro is the Facebook page to support. So thanks everyone. The recording will be up later on, and you will get a notification tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Thanks all. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Andy.
All right. See you next time. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.